Hello and welcome to Informed Entrepreneur Magazine. My name is Mike Baumstark and I'm a small business owner myself. And today I'm interviewing Phil Kirk of Kirk Enterprises. Welcome, Phil.
Thank you, Michael.
Excellent.
Very nice getting the chance to be with you today.
Good. So we're going to ask Phil some questions about his business and hope you'll enjoy the process. Phil, let's start out with where did you come from originally? Where are you from?
I'm a native of Springfield, Virginia.
Is that right?
Yeah.
There are some of those, right?
There's a few around here, yep.
Okay.
I've seen the area really grow.
Excellent, okay. And you're a family man, I assume?
Most definitely. I've got 2 children from a former marriage and
Okay.
2 wonderful stepdaughters from my wife, Zina.
Okay, excellent. Fantastic. Zina, where's your wife from?
Ukraine. Yes.
You want to tell us how that came about?
Well, we met because I did some missionary work in her country, and
Is
I
that
wanted
right?
to learn her language. And she was here in the United States since '98, and I set up on a blind date. And she needed to learn English, and I needed to learn Ukrainian Russian.
So that's wonderful. Now can you say something in Ukrainian for us?
I sure can. I can say "Dobre utro." That means good morning, or
Yes.
"Dobry den," good day, or
Yeah.
"Dobry večer" is good evening,
And do swidania?
yeah, "Do svидания" is saying good or goodbye or
Yeah.
have a good night. Yeah,
And what is thank you? I forgot. Thank you.
Pasiba.
Placebo, right. Yeah, I learned a little bit of it.
They got a little struggle in that country because they have the Ukrainians who favor their Ukrainian language, and then the Russians on the northern side, where my wife's from, favor Russian. So
Is that right?
Yeah.
Are they very different or similar?
they're very, very similar. Yeah, just
Okay.
a couple different letters in the Russian vocabulary, the Russian alphabet than the Ukrainian.
A couple of summers we actually had a Chernobyl child stay with us. We took a boy in a couple of occasions, a boy over a couple summers, and they stayed with us. The first one was a real fun time. The second was a little more challenging, a little bit more streetwise. It was a difficult scenario, but the idea was to get the kids out of that area, let them have some fresh air and some breathing time away from there. Is the
wow.
idea. So we really did enjoy that. So I have a feeling for that area as well as you do.
Yeah.
Right. What made you decide to get into your business? Well, let's start up first. What kind of business are you in? What do you do?
Well, I'm a general contractor, very small business, focusing on residential home improvements. Have done some light commercial work, like tenant layout for some small business owners who have a tenant space.
Okay.
But my main, 99.99% is doing residential home improvements, renovation, remodeling.
Okay, excellent. Now, how did you end up getting into that business?
Well, I guess I could almost go back to building a lot of beautiful tree forts back as a kid, hanging around up in Springfield around the Lake Accotink area. I always took a liking for carpentry work, and so I got initially into it in the late 70s. I had worked for the U.S. Postal Service as a mail handler out in Merrifield at their big sectional center, and that was a bad fit. I couldn't stand working in a factory environment. So me and a buddy, we decided we're going to retire early after 13 months. We took a 2-month little trip out west and kind of did this young single man thing, just driving around seeing the United States. And I came back and I needed a job, and I found a job as a laborer working on a small strip mall in West Springfield. And the foreman took a liking to me, and one day he said, "Listen, I'm going to make a carpenter out of you. You go get these tools this weekend. The guy over here, I'm going to get rid of him, and I'm going to step you on into his place." And he did, and then I just followed his lead, and then I learned to do concrete form work. At the time is what we were doing, commercial concrete forms that, make all the concrete buildings, and so wherever there was a tower crane for the next 10 years, I followed tower cranes around the DC area, union, non-union, and, it was a pretty good job. I mean, it was dangerous, and there was a different thing for me to be doing a little later, so we can get into that, but I started Kirk Enterprises in 1988 after being 10 years as a carpenter in the commercial work.
Okay. Could you express for us, you said there's more to Kirk Enterprises than meets the eye. Could you help us out with that?
Taking people who are interested in doing short-term missionary trips. I took my love of construction work and, like I mentioned earlier about meeting my wife, in going over to Ukraine and other parts of the world. I've been to the Dominican Republic and also to Indian Reservation in South Dakota. And I take my love for construction and I go help build orphanages and churches and do stuff like that. So it makes my being self-employed a lot more good, a very good fit. being that I can take a time off from Kirk Enterprises, and so that's a real large part of my life.
And is this something you take a few people with you and do, or is it with an organization, or how does it work?
Normally, the church that I attend will be where we try to sponsor the team to go with us.
Okay.
But,
construction type people or anything?
Pretty much somebody who would be skilled would be good. Yeah.
Okay. To build something.
Yep. But there's times where there's needs for people who have medical skills and things like that too. It just depends on the fit of the trip.
Okay.
So
your business very directly gives back, because some of the earnings that you accumulate from Kirk Enterprises, you take and apply that to a mission type of trip.
Yeah, we actually formed an organization called Liaison Ministries International that was kind of birthed in my heart back in the early 90s. And so in introducing my pastor to a ministry in Ukraine who's been over there since the breakup of the Soviet Union, just felt like being a liaison between pastors or churches or other organizations that are, have a heart for doing those kind of things. Mm-hmm. We kind of have a good fit in between that.
Excellent.
Yep.
Share with us a couple of things that have been your struggles in being a small businessman and developing your business.
Probably the first struggle that I dealt with would be just having the opportunity to do what I was best at. I kind of remember, I call it my pink cloud experience, when I first became self-employed, when I left my employer. And that summer I was doing landscaping and cutting tree limbs, climbing up in trees and, hauling away brush and cutting yards. But I was a carpenter, so for me it wasn't a great fit.
Yeah.
But then the opportunities when people who knew that I finished basements, I built decks and did remodeling and things of that nature, the word got out, then I started to build a client base. So that struggle at the beginning was just getting recognition, building up a client base. Sure. Like any business, it's brand new,
right.
Unless you buy a franchise, I guess.
Yeah, that has its own problems, as some of the interviews have revealed. So do you have contract people you bring in to do work for you, or are you a sole builder, or how does that work?
Mainly I'll subcontract out things like the electrical for people, because I need people who are master electricians to be taking responsibility of that. And then I'm not a very good drywall finisher, so I usually let them hang and finish the drywall. I'm pretty good at residential plumbing myself, so I'll do a lot of the plumbing work myself, and then running duct work and things like that I can do. But, my forte is the carpentry work, and so like any small business, the more I can keep in-house, the better.
Of course, that's right. Yeah, I remember I used to know a guy who did projects, large projects, and he only did it himself. He did not have any subs, nothing. And he would lift the biggest things I ever saw in my life by himself. He leveraged everything. But one of his prides of his business was he just did everything himself, and he would be on a job for months.
Right.
And then he would complete that job. So are you able to do a job here and a job there and kind of get them both doing while one's drying and then one's working? Or
yes. Back in, when the economy, when things in 2003, 2004, 2007, when we had a whole lot of equity in homes, we were doing many basements at the time, and that's probably my forte. If I'm going to plug myself, would be I'm a basement finishing guy.
Okay.
I've done probably at least 300 basements in the 25 years I've been in business. So each one's a challenge. Each one's got to be framed differently, and then you can customize them. But we would have one basement where the framing might be starting, the other basement the drywall was being finished, and then the guys were coming back and trimming that out. So we had a very good process. And I had a couple really good young men working for me that I trained up from the ground up, who went to my church and stuff. And so they're very trustworthy. And
good.
So
I've been told that redoing a basement is far more difficult than building a whole house. Because
absolutely.
You're going in there and fitting everything.
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff in your way. You got all the duct work, the pipes, the structural beam, and builders, I hate to trash them, but they don't plan things out for this person to finish the basement. So you've got to be able to be very creative and, really, kind of get a good eye for how you're going to get that finished product to work.
Yes. Let's talk about, for a second, your giving back to the community. Maybe not the local community. Maybe you do some of that also.
Yeah, I do some of that too.
Okay,
yes.
what do you do on a local basis?
Well, we've reached out to go out and help out in some of the communities where, you've got less fortunate people working at, various apartment projects and things like that, where our church is doing an outreach there,
Okay.
et cetera.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Right. Now, what motivates you? You're doing a lot of giving that you don't get paid for.
Right.
What motivates you to do that?
Just my love for people and the love that I have that was extended to me through my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So, He gave it all, and what little bit I can give back in my time here on earth, my sojourning down here, it's a wonderful feeling.
Yes.
Working at that Indian reservation was very interesting because I saw how these people have been just kind of shut off from the mainstream of America, and
Wow.
I didn't really know it was like that,
Is that right?
Pine Ridge reservations over in outside of Rapid City, South Dakota. And just out in the middle of the desert, just real flat land.
When did you do that? How long ago?
2010. We took a team. We drove from Woodbridge and made a pretty good little trek of it. We drove all the way.
And what state's that in?
South Dakota.
Oh, so that was
so we did a
2 or 3 day.
Yeah, we drove and we made it to Wisconsin the first night, and then drove across from Wisconsin to South Dakota on the next leg, and it was
Wow.
I never knew I could drive that much. 900 miles, I believe, the first leg.
Is that right?
Yeah,
it's a lot of driving.
it is.
Yeah, these days gas is so expensive. It's almost easier to take an airplane.
Take a plane, yeah.
These days, we've calculated a little bit on that sort of thing. Now, I know that you're a Bible believing person, as I am, and the Bible teaches that it's more blessed to give than to receive.
Correct.
Okay, so when you give those things, it's a satisfaction you can't describe. From a standpoint of being in business, have you seen that somehow that giving has made your business prosper or survive? Have you seen any evidence of that?
Well, I think probably the fact that the word of mouth with people saying that this guy, I had a compliment one time. A man said, I would use that guy because he's as honest as the day is long. I kind of thought about that, but the day can be long, so I guess I'm pretty honest. So,
Yeah.
But no, that was a very big compliment the man paid me. He was a real estate agent, and there's no, I can't cut corners. If I've got to extend and go, if there's a little something I got to do over and beyond, I'm going to do that. Cleaning up somebody's place on a daily basis and just
It's a big deal.
leaving it is. I've had other people work at my house and I've had to clean up behind them, and I don't mind doing it, but honestly, there's just a nice feeling if you see somebody that's just really meticulous. I'm pretty meticulous.
You feel the love that you're expressing, because that's like loving somebody when you look at the trash there and you say, I shouldn't leave my trash there. I got to get it out. But I don't think it's the norm.
They always, it says do unto others as you'd have them do unto you.
Yeah.
So if you're going to walk away from a pile of trash when you got 10 minutes just to organize it, maybe make it a little bit more presentable till you've done the full cleanup.
Yeah, that means a lot.
Yeah, I'm hands-on on every job, so yeah, it's it keeps us with a very good reputation with our customers, and that's why they'll give our name to other people.
Now, what are your plans in the future? Are you going to continue doing just what you're doing, or do you plan to do other things with your business, or bring people in? What do you plan to do?
Right now, we're trying to get out there and market more into the SEO type stuff, because having been in business for 25 years.
SEO?
Yeah, it's search engine optimization.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. I thought SEO had something to do with construction.
No, the search engine optimization is the new advertising. And so for me, having been old school, the Data National Community phone books and the Verizon phone book are obsolete anymore. And so that's kind of my new vision, is to try to bring in customers, because you got to have some new customer base.
And so you want to grow your business and maybe
just incrementally.
Okay.
My philosophy is slow growth.
Yeah.
I've seen too many times when people have just gotten so big so fast that they end up losing their business because they lose control of it.
Yes, I've interviewed people that have described that they grew, they had employees, and they realized they lost the love they had, and they actually reduced themselves back down.
Sure.
To be enjoying their business.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So that's wise. Well, in closing, please express to the audience any philosophy or tip about being in business that you would want to share with other business owners.
Well, I think first off would be just stay ethically correct with everybody. There's no reason to tell somebody something that's not true. That would be at the top of the list. When you come to meet somebody, you just tell them you can either do the job in the very near future, or it might get pushed off. For my example, if you're wanting the job and they want you to do it, well, if they'll wait for you, then that's very good. So ethically and doing the best you can do. I mean, we're all human. We're not perfect. So the best that you can do and perform whatever field of expertise you have, whether it's doing computer stuff or building like I do. Take time to be with your family too. Definitely carve out family and a life that you can say that's not all consumed by work, because being self-employed, it's a multifaceted thing. So be well-rounded and just be who you are.
Excellent. Well, Phil, thank you very much for
Thank you, Michael. Very much. I've enjoyed this.
We thank you for joining us today on Informed Entrepreneur Magazine. We hope you enjoy the video, and if you want details or want to contact Phil, you'll see the credits after this. Thank you.
Thank you.